You know, something that I feel like I see every single spring is the rush to do something. Now, I get it. I understand the rush wholeheartedly. Every spring I get very excited about, doing all the projects. I mean, right now I'm in the middle of doing a fence project where we're putting in a couple raised beds, some more landscaping, and just all of it. So I get it. But when it comes to the grass, this I think is where things get a little too rushed. Um, you have that first first green up of the season, your first warm weekend. The grass is relatively quick to respond, you know, but we don't need to rush out there and do everything on that very first weekend. So, much like the pre-emergent, your soil temperatures around that 50 degrees, germination doesn't happen until your soil temperatures are consistently about 55 degrees. So, with that being said, why on the first weekend, when you see a little bit of green up start happening on your yard, and you have, most of us probably have kind of a modge podge of grass types. So some grass types respond differently than others. So I know for me, I have just patches throughout my front yard and in my backyard that were significantly taller than the rest of my yard. So everything kind of just wakes up a little bit differently. But as a whole, when it comes to spring, we have time. We can slow down. We don't need to rush out, like I said, on the very first weekend and get your fertilizers down, get this down, cut this, do that. It's like you need, how would you feel waking up in the morning after a very good long rest and say take 4 shots of espresso, some pre-workout, and then run a marathon within the first 5 minutes of waking up? For me, no way. We like for me, like kind of a slow morning, kind of to wake up, kind of to just get things moving. Now, why would your yard be any different? Why on that first weekend do we need to go out and hit it with a heavy, you know, 20% nitrogen or whatever? Like, I haven't thrown anything down in my yard yet, and this is really the second or third like nice weekend, and we're getting kind of consistent temperatures in like the 50s. But granted, it's still the beginning of April, so I don't. I want my yard to wake up naturally, and then when I give it some fertilizer here, probably in the next couple days, because we're gonna have some good temperatures, I think the yard's really gonna start waking up. I'm gonna hit it with just like a balanced, like triple 13, something to kind of be like more of like a multivitamin of waking up instead of hitting it with a heavy dose of nitrogen. I know that might be a little controversial to some people, but I feel like if you smoke it with a heavy dose of nitrogen right off the get-go, is a not really awake yet. So now you're like, boom, let's try to soak that up, and we're just gonna shoot up in top growth. The reason I like a balanced fertilizer is kind of like a multivitamin, if you will. You get that nitrogen to start doing that, but then you're also getting some of that potassium, phosphorus for the root development in the spring. You know, your grass waking up as a wholehearted plant, your roots are waking up first. So having some of that, some of those nutrients readily available is good. Now, another reason that I don't want to just rush out on that first nice weekend and throw down a dose of fertilizer is if your soil temperatures are too cold and your grass really hasn't fully waken up yet, it could kind of be a false sense of reality. But The fertilizer you put down, yeah, it could sit in the soil if you have a fast released nitrogen, which quite a few products out there are fast release or quick release. Is your plant's not even really going to do anything with it. It could just wash off, leach down into the soil, and just essentially really not be effective. So you just kind of wasting time, wasting money. So another reason to check your soil temps, and if your soil temps are above 55 degrees consistently, then sure, your grass is probably really awake now. So if you were to throw down a fertilizer, it'd be a lot more effective and actually get essentially the full usage out of that application. So just I just see so many I see so many people and so many like Facebook and comments and questions of people like, oh, should I be putting down my fertilizer down? This, that, and the other. And obviously, I'm speaking from where I am in the Pacific Northwest. We're probably a little slower to the party. I mean, some of you guys East Coast and in the Midwest or whatever, you guys have probably already hit pretty good temperatures for a while. So this might not necessarily apply to you right now. Obviously, when your green up happens during that time of the calendar or whatever, then this would apply. Like we don't need to rush. We have time. Another thing for me that eases my spring and something that I think is very important is our fall prep. Putting down the fertilizers and the nutrients that we do in the fall really, really helps when it comes to spring and not needing to get stuff down. Um, for me, in the spring, really the only thing that's time sensitive is a pre-emergent, and that's soil temperature right there around 50 degrees. Throw that down and get it watered in. And other than that, everything else kind of just waits. Um, my grass is a little bit long right now. Granted, middle of a project, so I don't really want to mow, and then so I'll get to that probably here in the next day or two. But the premise of this video is just we don't need to rush. And if you feel like I'm wrong, then let me know in the comments, and I'd love to hear your angle and your point of view. Um, this is just something that I feel relatively strongly about, and I know that this time of year, all the garden centers at your local stores or your big box stores and everything, they have all the stuff out, and I feel like with a lot of that, there's just a lot of marketing that triggers that. Hey, it's spring. Now's the time to get your you know X, Y, and Z done or whatever. Throw it down, and at the end of the day, if you're throwing it down too early and you don't notice anything, then most people probably be like, oh, well, let me do another round, which might mean I need to buy another bag. So for those big companies, hey, bada bing, bada boom, they got you to buy another bag that you might not need to. Um, so just some things to keep in mind. And in my experience, like I said, if you don't agree with me or you have a different point of view, let me know in the comments. If you found this video at all, helpful or insightful, feel free to give me a like, appreciate a follow as well. Uh, we have a lot of these kind of discussions and kind of just showing you what a yard can look like without having to break the bank. So appreciate you guys and enjoy the nice weather if you guys are having it. And it's springtime, so it's good time go time for all the outdoor projects and getting ready for the fun summer season. So all right, thanks guys, appreciate you.